Hello all and welcome back. I hope you're all doing really well. Touching on from my previous video, thank you for all the comments. I finally found Hedera. It's in the bottom left-hand corner today. As pointed out by the commentators yesterday, on the weekly performance, we are just sort of breaking even. Anyway, moving on to the meat and bones of this video today. It's something I've touched on. I think I've released 4 or 5 different videos mentioning this particular topic. And that is the rumoured Fortune 10 partnership with HBAR or Hedera. I'm going to be looking into it more today and just sort of seeing if there's any more credence to the idea of who this Fortune 10 company may be. Now, if we flick over and we look at the largest companies by market cap, I'm going to be focusing on today about the partner or this Fortune 10 company potentially being Alphabet or Google. And as we can see, they currently have a market cap of 1.7 trillion, ranking them at the 4th largest company across the globe today. The other popular Fortune 10 company that it's rumored to be is Walmart, and they only rank at number 19 on this list. So as we can see that if it was potentially to be Alphabet or Google, we're immediately partnered with one of the top 5 companies across the globe. Why do I think that it's Google is the potential partner? Fantastic article or write-up earlier today by Do You Even Crypto over on the Hedera subreddit. Some of this information that I've covered previously anyway, however, there's also some new nuggets of information that I have missed in previous videos. I do implore you to go and check out those previous videos if you want to understand a little bit more about what's going on here and also why I personally think it is Google. Anyway, we'll just jump straight into this. So a while ago, Lehman gave a breadcrumb that a Fortune 10 company is building on Hedera, 2 separate posts. So Fortune 10 company is planning to build a product engine that leverages the HTS or the Hedera token service or token issuance and the HTS for data integrity, allowing any end user to introduce trust, transparency, and seamless value exchange into business workflows. This product will potentially be used by thousands of enterprises. Now, well, Google works with thousands of enterprises anyway. Alphabet as a parent company anyway owns hundreds of enterprises. So that starts to pull things into perspective anyway. A lot of people speculated it is Walmart because of the SKUX connection. I don't think this relates at all, in my opinion. Also, personally, the Walmart tangent, there have been rumors anyway that Walmart has had their own blockchain infrastructure for a while that they use internally. So it seemed a little bit strange if Walmart then picked up Hedera to transition away from that. That's not a complete dismissal of it potentially being Walmart. However, it just seems unlikely if a company has invested probably hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more, into building a different type of infrastructure to then switch. Although Hedera does have a massive sort of a piece of additional value over other traditional blockchains in the fact that it's fast, secure, reliable, etc., yada yada, things that I've covered on this channel hundreds of times. There's also a link to a conversation here about a Swirlds employee, so obviously they are the Hedera creators, negating the comments that it could be Walmart. In this post, Do You Even Crypto talks about that he believes it's strongly Alphabet, and more specifically GCP or the Google Cloud function that is building this. So he's done some due diligence. First of all, although Google has joined the council, it's more specifically the GCP that really did to this Google Cloud. I'll touch on more on this in a second, as I have done in previous videos. Maybe down the line, Google can look at ad stacks. So ad stacks are effectively an advertisement platform. If any of you know about Google themselves, which I'm sure you're all familiar with them, ad revenue is a major portion of their business income. Think along the lines of YouTube and targeted ads, AdSense, etc. Richard Widman on Twitter, formerly of GCP and now the new head of the digital assets at Google. So this is something that I covered in a previous video. After the open source announcement of Hedera, a digital assets team was formed at Google almost immediately off the back of that, which was spurious timing at best. Has attended all the council meetings, again, something that I've covered previously. He's also been meeting with Hedera employees and the HBAR Foundation. So he seems to be very engaged with Hedera anyway. Okay, so where does Hedera actually fit into this? If we look at the quote from below, here are the main keywords. Business workflows. What is a business workflow? So there's a quick video by Google Cloud. I'm not going to play it, but we can look at these event-driven workflows, and effectively these are things that are triggered by an activity. So we can see here you've got an e-commerce site. A new order is received. You or me purchase a t-shirt from this so-called company. Immediately, a workflow is driven by this trigger event. Cloud Run effectively creates the invoice. We can then see that this invoice is spat into another function, another cloud function, which encrypts the PDF. You've then got the encrypted PDF in a zip format, which is then spat into the invoice emailing system. The email API then takes that and basically adds it as an attachment and then sends the invoice email. Something that I'm sure you're all really familiar with if you purchase stuff through eBay, Amazon, or any other big sort of e-commerce site. You will receive an automated invoice or receipt email saying you have purchased this at this price, yada yada, probably with some other shipping information as well. That is all automated and an event-driven workflow from the platforms. So at a high level, a workflow executes multiple back-end processes to occur. There is a problem with this, and the problem is that you expose sensitive customer data. Again, there's another good article. I'll be leaving all these in the description for you guys to do some more research and read in your own time. But they talk about how tokenizing can help with these privacy issues. So in any site that has user data, the user data is stored within a table of a database. So think along the lines of SQL. You've got tables within them that sit within the database. And you may have a table structure that looks something like this. So you have a user ID, which is just an incrementing integer from 1 to X. You have the email address, which is associated with the user ID, an SSN, so in this case a social security number, and then an age. You may have tons of other data as well, such as payment information, addresses, zip codes, postal codes, country of origin, etc. What we can then see is you've got another table which then can link to this user ID table with the SSN, and then that pulls in a credit score. So these database entries expose sensitive data naturally. So one way tokenization can help protect this data is by effectively tokenizing it. So for Casey's task, let's use deterministic encryption in the cloud DLP to tokenize the social security numbers in both tables. Note, to support your data's privacy, DLP supports encryption keys, which are then wrapped using cloud key management services. So what we go from is these bare social security numbers into this tokenized format of unintelligible alphanumeric characters. And what we can then do is use another table which then looks back up to this SSN to pull in the credit score. So no longer have you got this data breach effectively, or trust issue, where the social security numbers are easily interpreted by humans, but they can be interpreted by machines to get to the end goal, which is to pull the credit score. Really powerful stuff. And this is stuff that was already in practice within these companies anyway. However, tokenization is a faster, more reliable way to achieve this. Again, another video linked about Google Cloud tokenization for DLP. So let's wrap this sort of article up so I can move on. But the guess as to why GCP will use Hedera, the HCS and the HTS, is that any data being indexed by GCP BigQuery can simultaneously be notarized on the Hedera network via the HCS. This is just used as a layer of trust at the end to ensure data will always be 100% accessible, since Hedera is a global 24/7 distributed ledger which is always online. At any level of the workflow on GCP, a customer can use the DLP, the data loss protection module, of the GCP platform to tokenize any part of the business workflow. So if someone on a retail site buys a product and that has to someone to call the API from another service, that will return sensitive data. But if you can tokenize certain aspects of the data, you are ensuring 100% privacy. This gives you that additional layer of security. I'll be touching more about that BigQuery section a minute ago. However, here's some more supporting evidence that backs this up. A Fortune 10 company is planning to use Hedera Hashgraph to construct a product engine. So one of these uses that was planned for enterprise use of the coin by a Fortune 10 company was to build a product engine that uses Hedera for token issuance and data integrity. Considering that Alphabet or Google was already a council member of the Hedera Hashgraph and fits the description of the use case provided by Lehman previously, it would be an educated or reasonable guess that Google or Alphabet is the company working on an enterprise use for Hedera. Now, Google themselves anyway has multiple different ways of having an enterprise use case for Hedera. They have hundreds of different revenue streams. Alphabet themselves, as I touched on, has multiple different companies that operate underneath the umbrella. And they are in several different sectors and industries. So what better blockchain alternative to use than Hashgraph? Anyway, we talk about this again. Fortune 10 company is planning to build a product engine that leverages the HTS for token issuance and the HCS for data integrity. This product will potentially be used by thousands of enterprises. So again, it just strengthens that link that we see. Fed's presentation in which this information is discussed can be found by searching for UDC 2021 Day 2, Welcome to the Blockchain World on YouTube. So again, I'll link this in the description for you guys. There's also an article over on Google Cloud where they talk about working with Hedera Hashgraph to support the next generation of the distributed ledger technologies, and how they talk about the inception of DLT. Hedera has ensured that the stability and reliability of its network by leveraging the Google Cloud Platform Premium Network tier, a highly provisioned, low latency global fiber optic network. By using Google's network, Hedera has been able to focus on nurturing its community of developers who are building high throughput, low latency, decentralized applications or dApps on Hedera. We initially turned to Google Cloud for its ease of use, networking advantages, and overall platform performance. So what we can see here is there's almost a bit of a symbiotic relationship between Google and Hedera anyway, naturally being the case because Hedera sits on the governing Google sits on the governing council for Hedera. If we move back over as well and we focus more on this GCP or Google Cloud side, we can easily see how the HCS and HTS can be incorporated into the existing infrastructure. So if we look at this really simplistic model of a system for a business, you have the business's source systems, so these are the ones that process the transactions. They get spat into an existing system. This then goes into storage, whether it being on-premise or on cloud. You then effectively have a transfer service between them and the Google Cloud storage. This loads a job into the staging tables for BigQuery. Now, BigQuery is a competitor to Amazon's Redshift, and it effectively sits as an abstraction layer above these systems. Now, at any point in this chain, the HCS or HTS could be incorporated as an API call to encrypt the data, whether it's at the source system level, or where the HTS gets implemented by Google's cloud, or it's on the Google Cloud level, which is the bridging service between the on-premise system or the other cloud and the Google Cloud. So you'd have the HTS or HCS come in here and encrypt all of the data, so there's no breach of privacy for the user parties. So really powerful stuff, and we can begin to see how this can be implemented into Google quite easily. Again, touching on previous information that I've covered anyway, Richard J. Widman was the new head of the digital assets at Google, been present at 9 of the Hedera Governing Council meetings, all stuff that I've covered in previous videos. I implore you to go check them out. At the same time as well was the Hedera source code becoming open sourced. We saw Basecamp accelerator programs kicking off as they start moving in and ramping up into this Web 3.0 universe and sort of the metaverse that we're all looking at. So Google is fully aware that this is an important next step for their business anyway. And then as well, we talk about this formation of the digital assets team within Google Cloud. It seems very likely that Google Cloud is the partner or the team, the sub-team from Google that is working with Hedera. I believe this is the Fortune 10 company that we have all sort of spoken about. And we can also see anyway, historically, so back in 2021, we view Hedera as a strong partner in our ecosystem, and we're excited to work on various use cases, both internally for Google and, as far as the hackathon goes, external for our enterprise financial service clients. So this was back with the Hedera 21 movement with the hackathon, but Google clearly saying that there are internal benefits anyway for Hedera's use cases to help drive their business forward. And we can see that it is very likely that Google is using Hedera to work on their external products, which are retailer or client facing. Anyway, guys, this was a sort of accumulation of information that I have found as well as other people within the community. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will continue to sort of report on this if any further information comes out. Cheers all.